The first thing I want to show you about this is just regular machine stuff to get everybody on the same page, because while these machines are solid, they're hunks of metal that technology has not changed. They're serviced every semester, but if you don't have these perfect, they are finicky, they're temperamental. So make sure you're, on point with everything, that all of the threading and stuff is what I'm trying to say. So these holes at the beginning, you want to go the least resistance. This one's coming back to forward. These can be at different angles sometimes. Least resistance. If the holes are pointing this way, go in this way, and then again that way. It's a barber shop hole situation. Same with this, least resistance, going in that way. The most common thing that I see people mix up is this spring down here between your tension plates. From this, you're coming down into this little placement holder, I guess, this little circle. And by the way, I never ever tie my thread off right here and trust the previous person that they did it correctly. You know how you can tie it off and then pull it all the way through to just save time? I never do that. I always pull it all the way out and do it all myself. This is to make sure that you're doing it right, and so you don't get complacent and forget the actual steps. It becomes like a motor memory if you do it every time. So coming into this little placeholder around the tension plates, making sure that it is in there really good. And this just popped up for some reason. But around the tension plates, and then over the spring, and you're not going from the spring up here. A lot of people do that. Going from the spring right around this guy, and then up to the lever, this little arm. Back around into the other placeholder. And you'll have different setups right here. Sometimes it's a little windy wire that you slip your thread right into. And sometimes it also has this hole. You want to do both, or whatever it has right here, the wire and the hole. And the last very important thing is the needle. And by the way, this one we want to use the smallest that we have. I think you guys have 10 as the smallest. Don't use anything bigger. The appropriate needle is very important for the fabric weight. The needle itself has to be in a very specific direction. The needle has one long groove on one side and then a crescent moon cutout on the other side. The long groove is for the thread to sit in. It also changes sizes to match the gauge of your thread. And the other side, the crescent moon, has to be on the right side, making a C. So I can remember it easily because it's Kate, my name, but you can do whatever you want. If it's correct, C for correct, or Consew, it has to be a C. And you're always going left to right, like reading. The bobbin casing is the other thing that will give you trouble. So sometimes people will say, go with the direction of the slot into your spring steel. Other people say opposite direction, depending on the makeup of your thread. If it's something slippery like a bonded nylon, that extra resistance going against it helps with that slipperiness. But pretty much with this standard 30 tex cotton or poly, whatever, you're going with the direction of the slot into that spring steel. And that means the way the thread is wrapping around the bobbin, that direction into that slot. So if your tension is off, you have two ways to change it, the top and the bottom. The bottom tension is with this bobbin casing. If you see that your top thread is too loose, do micro adjustments. If your bottom thread is too loose, check it by holding the thread up and see if it just barely falls. It should just be like that. It shouldn't stick and it shouldn't fall really fast. So my thing that I do is I just hold it like that, and then it makes it really easy. It locks it in when that's open. And then you can easily feel for the peg and just wiggle it until you know it's really in there, and then let that little plate down. You guys know that putting your foot on the pedal a little bit makes it easy. It loosens the gears and lets you walk it. So your bobbin thread should come up easily. If not, it's probably stuck on the arm or something in the mechanics. And then you just get rid of them. Put them back there. Always do a little test. I always help myself out. I give myself a little walk before, especially with my back tacking. Okay. And then if you keep your hand on the wheel, you can sort of control it until you figure out how fast the machine goes. Check out your tension and the size of your stitch. Make sure everything's good. Doesn't look too bad. I'm gonna stay with that. I can see a little bit of the red poking through, which means that that would be on the looser side. So if I want this to be even, I would tighten the top. If the red is loose, that means the bottom one is stronger and it's pulling it through. Okay, so we're good to continue.